Do you think mental health in young people is a common issue? And if it is, how would you address it?
Sadly, it's a very common issue, and I'm sure you've seen that in your schools, and in your friends as well. More than 20% of young people have got a diagnosable mental health condition, and it seems to be getting worse. And there are lots of different reasons for that. Obviously, there is increased expectation and pressure from education, and I'm sure Jo will want to come in about that as well.
We've seen a real increase in schools of working with young people with social and emotional difficulties. I think one of the difficulties is that there's insufficient funding to support mental health in schools.
Do any of you guys want to come in, particularly you, being a young person yourself?
There is just not enough happening, and I know that funding is a huge problem, but in school you'll go to your GP, you'll be referred to CAMS, but you'd be put on a waiting list, and that waiting list could take you to the end of your problem where you're just oh, forget it, I don't need it anymore. But you still need it because that mental health issue is inside your brain. So I think it is a really big issue and it needs to be addressed.
Sorry, I just wanted to tell you there is some good news. So in the last couple of years, we've introduced Saath. I don't know if any of you have heard of that, but that's online counselling, which is accessible to anyone that's at a school in Slough. You don't have to live in Slough. If you're attending a Slough school, you can log on and access free online counselling. We've also increased provision. So Youth Talk have offices, and now there's face-to-face youth counselling in Slough as well.
What else could be done in Slough to support young carers? And this goes out to Saath, Hussein.
There's certain themes that we're coming across looking at protecting vulnerable children, and certainly what I've asked for is a piece of work specifically looking at what care and support is out there for young carers in particular. Hands up, I think more needs to be done. But again, I think what we rely on is referrals, making sure that those people are known to us. Again, working with schools and working with GP practices and the general NHS around making sure that once a young carer is identified, understanding that there is care and support available, but our biggest struggle is identifying them. And I think really more needs to be done to work with young people to understand what classifies as a carer and what support is available for them.
What can be done to benefit students prepare for future interviews and improve their chances of actually getting a job?
Coming from an industry which is very, very competitive, prepare 3-4 times over and do your research on wherever you're going to have an interview. And I believe to an extent that the old-fashioned way of preparing for an interview is the best way. So just think about all the questions that a company can fire at you, the obvious ones. One of the main things is just be coaching yourselves for interviews, which is something which a lot of people underestimate.
Why do not schools get enough funding?
Schools' budgets have been cut in a number of different ways, and moving forward, we know that we are going to be facing significant cuts.
The country was in the recessions. We are improving the economy, and the schools are part of the overall cuts which the country actually faces. In my opinion, definitely the schools will survive. It's just about shifting the resources on one side or the other, and the government is adding more money.
Yes, absolutely. As Councillor Wright points out, they probably will try and make do as good as they can. But let's be real. It is a financial cut.
We need to remember that money does not buy you be educated.
Is that true, though? Money doesn't buy education? Because at the moment it is.
Money doesn't buy education. It's not about the money. It's about the willingness for the young people.
Anna, you said money does not buy education, but then I've seen schools in this town which are thinking, I'm not going to name names, but are thinking of doing 4-day weeks for their students because they do not have the money.
Resources are one thing. This is where the money helps you to get to the resources, but does not buy your education.
We have so many supply teachers not giving us the right education we need. So how are we supposed to secure a future for ourselves when there's no one teaching that or no one providing the facilities due to the cuts in funding?